Hello students, it's Mr. Greason here. I'm going to be talking about some of the common problems that beginning clarinetists face. So first thing I want to talk about is reed strength and embouchure placement, because that's extremely important to getting what's called a good sound, an appropriate sound out of the clarinet. So right now I have a reed on here that's a little bit too soft for the mouthpiece, and I'm not going to put enough mouthpiece in my mouth, and you're going to hear the kind of sound I get. So it's really flat and out of tune, and if I bring my tuner up, and now if I, so here's my tuner, and it should say G, and give me a smiley face. And it's not, all right? So that's part of the problem. And so two things to fix that. One is make sure you have the proper reed strength for your mouthpiece. Now, the mouthpieces that come with beginning instruments, those stock mouthpieces, are equipped to use softer reeds, but you really should not be using anything softer than a 2.5. And really, even that's kind of soft. You know, once you get past your first box of reeds, by the spring, usually all my clarinet players are usually on size 3s of like Junos or those type of reeds, or the Royal, the Rico Royals. All right, so now this is a proper strength reed. So that's half the battle. But I'm still not going to put enough mouthpiece in my mouth. Alright, it's a little bit better. The most critical thing, obviously, is beyond reed strength and mouthpiece, is how much mouthpiece you put in your mouth. So I'm going to get a little closer to the camera. Alright, so the mouthpiece, obviously, we need to have it just about where the reed meets the mouthpiece on the inside of the mouth, on the clarinet, right about here. That is about how much reed should be in your mouth. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and back this up a bit and put more mouthpiece in my mouth. Now now we're most of the way there, and if I hold my tuner up, I'll go. Alright, now it says G, but it's still out of tune. And the last part is, what are we doing with our chin? Alright, so I always like to tell, especially some of my students, that if they're bunching up the chin, I call it cottage cheese chin. Okay, where you get your chin all bunched up and whatnot. Alright, so that's what I call cottage cheese chin. If your chin is flat, like there's a weight pulling it down towards the floor and kind of put it kind of into the reed a little bit, then this now it's actually a little sharp, as in the instrument's a little too short. So, but that is a proper sound. Smiles all around. All right, that app, by the way, is called Tonal Energy. It's fantastic. I talk about it a lot. So that's one of the first things in terms of our pitch, and making sure you're getting enough mouthpiece in the mouth and the chin is flat and pointed down towards the ground. All right, now the next thing I want to talk about in clarinet troubleshooting is, if it leaks, it squeaks. All right, so a lot of times what problems students will have is, and I'll stand on my tiptoes a little bit, and that second finger especially likes to creep up. And the reason why the fingers like to creep up, especially the left hand, is that students will try to hold the instrument up with their left hand. And that is not the way to hold up a clarinet. The weight of the clarinet needs to rest right, there it is, right here. So my thumb rest is just about right about at the base of my thumbnail. So we're not all the way in here. We're in here, and the weight of the instrument is supported by the right hand. It's very important so that the left hand can move freely. that's really important, so that if the fingers can just move up and down as opposed to trying to hold it up, your fingers aren't going to slide. All right. And the right hand, same thing. If you have your thumb, too far over, what's going to happen is that your fingers are going to extend past the keys. All right. So you need to make sure that your thumb's not jammed all the way over, so the pads of your fingers can close the holes properly. That's extremely important. So that's Scout. Scout. Shh. Good girl. All right. So. Something's outside. You okay, girl? All right, so with Scout, it's okay. All right, so give me a second. And we're back. So, with the other thing I wanted to make a point of in terms of at least it squeaks is you need to make sure that, because when you're pressing the rings down on a clarinet, all right, you're not only just closing the rings, but you're also closing the holes, because the rings are always going to be connected to something. So like our right hand rings are connected to this key right here, all right? And if this key doesn't close all the way, nothing with the right hand works, which I always talk about, which is why our bridge key needs to be lined up properly and all that, and make sure it's not bent when we're putting the instrument together. And that's on a different video. But if you're not closing your tone holes all the way, it makes the lower notes really, really hard to play. So, all right. So that's another thing. So making sure that we're closing the holes all the way, that the tone hole, that the rings and the holes underneath are both closed. All right. So when you're playing your instrument, when you're done playing, you should have little holes on your fingers. All right. They're not holes, but like indentations from the tone holes on your fingers. So those are really important things in terms of hand position, embouchure placement, and that'll help out for a lot of our struggling clarinet sounds. All right. Thank you very much for watching.